We start thinking about furniture much earlier in the project than you might think. So we start thinking about furniture when we're just doing the design stages of the interior architecture or of the architecture, because we need to be thinking about these pieces in terms of the renders. If you just render the space without any furniture in it, it looks very cold and inhumane. So even at that stage, which might be months before we actually start selecting and procuring furniture, or even years in some cases, we're already selecting furniture that we think would be right for the space. It's really important, not just from a marketing point of view, but when we are talking about materiality of spaces to our clients, that we are showing them that materiality in the context of the FF&E, because otherwise, as I said, the space can feel very empty. And then, of course, we continue that kind of relationship and journey with furniture all the way through to, for example, when we're doing residential, such as Hornsey Town Halls. So if we take Hornsey as an example, we specified all the furniture that went into all the renders for the marketing images. That was done years ago. Then when we did our first show apartment, we obviously selected and procured the furniture for that. And now we've got 2 new show apartments in the block itself. And what's really interesting is that that journey has evolved. So the first set of furniture that we put in the images is slightly different to the ones that we put now. And it just shows how the apartments can be very different, have very different look and feel. And we're finding that buyers who are now going to the show apartments and coming and asking, what is that piece? We really love it. Where can we buy it? So it's a really long relationship from very early design stages all the way through to completion. In terms of the key criteria for our selection, obviously there's the really normal things like, is it contract grade, fire rating, all of those things. But we sort of, when we're working with a contract agent, we take those as given. When we are selecting furniture, we've always got a concept for the furniture selection. So whether is it going to be all fully upholstered pieces? Is it going to be mostly timber, etc.? So there's an overarching concept that we then select the pieces within. And within that concept, we always have 3 types of pieces, if you like. One is what we call our workhorse pieces. So these are comfortable pieces of furniture to sit on or to use, which are maybe quite background pieces. So therefore the fabrics will be really important, but they're not really sculptural pieces. We always have 1 or 2 sculptural pieces. So this might be furniture or lighting, something that really draws the eye and is a real focal point in the space, almost instead of an art piece or as well as an art piece. And thirdly, in some projects, we like to add in what we call found pieces. So these are older pieces that might be antique or just different, because to give that slightly more eclectic, more residential feel, so it doesn't feel like a furniture showroom. So our work is cross-sector. We work across hospitality and workplace and residential. If we look at hospitality and workplace specifically, workplaces are becoming more like hotel lobbies, and yet in hospitality settings, we need to be able to work, whether that's in the room or in the lobby. So we're seeing a real merging and hybrid types of furniture coming out. In hotel rooms, we're moving away, or maybe it's just the brands that we work with, from hotel desks that you sit at and it's very formal and you work in. We like to have much more softer pieces, so sitting on a lounge chair, but making sure the table is what we call it cocktail height, so it's a 650 height. So you can sit on a lounge chair with your laptop at this table and work. You can dine at it, but when you walk into the room, it's not a table height table. It doesn't feel like this barrier. It feels very loungy and very residential. So I think that's something that we're seeing coming through. We don't really see this height of table coming through as a standard at the moment, but I think it will be coming through. So generally, we're having to make them bespoke, but it works very, very well in terms of the flexibility it gives the hotel guest or the person working in the office lobby. We're working on a very large building called Stanza in the city, where 10% of the overall office space is actually given over to amenity space. So it's a 1 million square foot building. So that's a lot of amenity space. And that's all different types of lounge settings, club settings, cafes, etc. So the furniture has to work really hard. And this is where we're seeing contract and hospitality, kind of workplace and hospitality merging really, in terms of the furniture that we're specifying. We want it to be feel like a private members club, feel like you really want to draw the occupiers in, because they don't have to work in the building anymore. So what is it that's going to bring them into the building? And it's all these facilities and amenities, it's things that they don't have at home, which is really going to, so that's the shift that we're seeing, and furniture is part of that story.